All right, let's dive into the happiness hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt.
Okay.
You sent this one in.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to, go a little deeper than a typical book review here.
Okay, sounds good.
We're really trying to pull out, the really useful stuff for you.
Right.
So it's like a happiness cheat sheet.
I love that idea.
Yeah, just for you.
Awesome.
So Haidt kicks things off with this metaphor.
Yeah.
It really stuck with me.
Okay.
It's the elephant and the rider.
Uh-huh.
And he uses it to describe our inner struggle
Okay.
between, emotions and rational thought.
Right.
But to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little fuzzy on how that translates
Okay.
into actually making better choices for happiness.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to get lost in the metaphor.
Yeah.
The key is to understand that our emotional elephant is incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's driven by instincts and feeling.
Okay.
And the rider, which is our rational mind,
Right.
can try to steer, but sometimes the elephant just takes over.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like sometimes you just can't help it.
Totally.
You just go with that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it more about learning how to work with them,
Exactly.
not necessarily ignoring those emotional impulses?
Yeah, Haidt argues that the writer's role
Okay.
is not to dominate the elephant.
Mhm.
It's to become a skilled guide.
okay.
It's about understanding what motivates the elephant,
right.
building trust,
Right.
and gently nudging it in the right direction.
So it's almost like a partnership.
It is a
Uh-huh.
collaboration.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to work together.
Now, the book kind of dives into this huge question of
Yes.
where does happiness actually come from?
Right.
I'm a bit of an achievement junkie myself.
Uh-huh.
I'm always striving for that next goal.
I hear you.
But Haidt presents this middle path that I'm really intrigued by.
He does. And it's a fascinating departure from the typical go-get-'em mentality
Right.
of Western culture.
Uh-huh.
He contrasts it with Eastern philosophies
Okay.
that emphasize detachment from desires.
Interesting.
Ultimately, Haidt suggests that true happiness lies in finding and pursuing
Okay.
the right attachments.
So not just
Not just any attachment.
Yeah.
Not just fleeting external rewards.
things that really resonate with us.
Deeply with our values
Yeah.
and our passions.
Yeah, I feel like figuring out those right attachments would be
Yeah.
a deeply personal journey.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
about understanding what truly matters to you,
Yeah.
what gives your life meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
It might be your relationships, your creative pursuits,
Right.
your connection to nature,
Well,
or something else entirely.
yeah. Yeah,
Totally.
we're all different. Now, one of the most surprising concepts in the book, for me, was this idea of the adaptation set point, or the hedonic treadmill.
Right.
I mean,
It is remarkable.
lottery winners and paraplegics returning to similar happiness levels after a year?
Yes.
That just seems wild.
It's a remarkable finding.
Yeah.
And it challenges our assumptions
Right.
about what brings lasting happiness.
Totally.
The idea is that we have this baseline level of happiness
Yeah.
that we tend to return to
Ugh.
even after major life events,
Right.
both good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
We get used to things,
This-
both positive and negative.
So even if I achieve that big goal I'm working towards,
Mm-hmm.
the boost in happiness might be temporary.
Yeah. And that's a bit disheartening, honestly.
It's not about diminishing those achievements.
Okay.
They still matter.
Right.
But understanding the adaptation principle
Yeah.
can help us make more conscious choices.
Mm-hmm.
It's about focusing on things that cultivate lasting fulfillment,
Okay.
not just chasing fleeting highs.
So it's not about
Yeah.
lowering our expectations,
It's about,
shifting our focus.
yeah, okay, that's a helpful way to frame it.
Good.
So if lasting happiness isn't just about reaching those big milestones,
Right.
what else is there?
Well,
Does that handout offer
he does.
any kind of roadmap or
He
something?
does.
Uh-huh.
He introduces what he calls the happiness formula.
Okay.
It's H equals S plus C plus V.
Okay, let's break that down.
Okay.
So I'm guessing H stands for happiness.
You got it.
Okay.
S is our set point,
Uh-huh.
which we just talked about,
Right.
that's influenced by genetics and personality.
Uh-huh.
C stands for conditions,
Okay.
which are the external factors we can influence, like our job, relationships, environment, so on.
Right.
And V represents voluntary actions,
Okay.
the things we choose to do each day
Right.
that directly impact our well-being.
So it sounds like that formula gives us a sense of agency.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not about being passive recipients of happiness, but active participants in creating it.
Even if we can't entirely control our set point,
Right.
we can still shape those conditions
Exactly.
and choose actions that lead to greater happiness.
Yeah, you got it.
So let's dive into those conditions and actions a little bit.
Okay.
What are some specific examples of things we
Right.
can change or do to boost our happiness?
Well, when it comes to conditions,
Okay.
Haidt emphasizes the importance of having
Okay.
strong, supportive relationships,
Right.
finding work that is meaningful and engaging,
Okay.
and creating a living environment that feels safe and nurturing.
Okay, so those are some pretty big changes.
Those are,
What about just those smaller
yeah.
everyday actions?
Yeah, so Haidt points to research showing that practices like meditation, gratitude,
Okay.
acts of kindness,
Uh-huh.
and spending time in nature
Right.
can significantly impact our happiness levels.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating those habits and practices
Okay.
that nourish our minds, bodies, and spirits.
I see. So like build those things into your daily life.
Exactly.
This all makes sense.
Okay.
But I'm curious, what about those things that actively decrease happiness?
Oh, absolutely.
I know Haidt calls them happiness suckers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some obvious ones,
Mhm.
but were there any that surprised you?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
While things like chronic stress and toxic relationships
Mhm.
are pretty well-known happiness drainers,
Right.
Hansen highlights some lesser-known culprits
Okay.
that can really sabotage our well-being.
Okay. Like what?
For example, noise pollution.
Noise pollution. Okay.
Something that we often just accept as part of modern life
Right.
can have a significant impact on our stress levels
Really?
and overall happiness.
Wow. I never really thought about noise pollution in that way.
Yeah, it's something that we kind of...
I know it's annoying,
Yeah.
but to actually affect our happiness long term.
It's true.
Right.
And then there are those long commutes that so many of us endure.
Yes.
Haidt explains that we don't really adapt to them
Okay.
because of the lack of control, being
Right.
stuck in traffic,
Yeah.
at the mercy of someone else's timetable.
Ugh, the worst.
That feeling of helplessness can really take a toll.
That definitely resonates with me.
Yeah.
I've always felt that my mood takes a hit after a particularly grueling commute.
It's a common experience.
Okay.
And those are just a couple of examples.
Right.
Haidt also delves into the negative impact of shame,
Right.
dysfunctional relationships,
Right.
and a persistent lack of control in our lives.
It seems like those happiness suckers can be insidious.
Exactly.
Things we might not even realize are draining our energy and well-being.
And that's why it's so important to be aware of them and
Mhm.
to find ways to mitigate their impact.
So we've talked about the elephant in the rider,
Uh-huh.
the happiness formula, and those sneaky happiness suckers.
Yes.
What about love and relationships?
Well, Haidt dedicates a whole chapter to that topic.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
It's a fascinating exploration of the different types of love.
Okay.
He contrasts passionate love,
Okay.
that intense, all-consuming feeling we
Yeah.
often experience at the beginning of a relationship,
Right.
with companionate love,
Okay.
which is a deeper,
Mm-hmm.
more enduring form of love based on trust, respect, and shared values.
So passionate love definitely gets all the attention in movies and books.
It does.
But you're saying companionate love is the key to lasting happiness.
Haidt argues that while passionate love is important,
Okay.
it's often fleeting.
Yeah.
Companionate love, on the other hand,
Mhm.
is what sustains relationships over the long haul.
So it's about building that deep connection.
It is,
Okay.
nurturing intimacy
Huh.
and navigating the challenges of life together.
Yeah. So it's not just about finding that initial spark.
Right.
It's about tending the fire over time.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it requires effort, communication,
Yeah.
and a willingness to grow and evolve together.
All right. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into the
Yeah.
happiness hypothesis.
We've made a good start.
I'm already starting to see how these ideas can be applied to my own life.
That's great.
But before we move on, is there anything else from the first few chapters that
No.
you think is crucial for understanding
Let me think.
Haidt's overall argument?
You know what? There is one more key concept I think
Yeah.
is worth highlighting.
Okay.
The idea of valuing constraints.
Valuing constraints.
It might seem counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but Haidt suggests that having certain constraints in our lives
Okay.
can actually enhance our happiness.
Constraints. How can limitations possibly make us happier?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
Commitments,
Hmm.
even if they feel like constraints,
Right.
can give our lives meaning and structure.
Okay.
Obligations to our family, our work, or our community
Right.
can provide a sense of purpose and belonging.
So it's not about having complete freedom and no responsibilities.
It's not about
It's
choosing our constraints wisely.
choosing our constraints wisely.
Yeah. Those that align with our values and bring us fulfillment.
So finding that balance
Yes.
between freedom and responsibility,
Exactly.
and recognizing that sometimes those limitations
Yes.
can actually lead to
True.
greater happiness and meaning.
That's right.
Okay, that's a thought-provoking idea to ponder.
It is. Yeah, it's about finding those commitments that energize you
Yeah.
rather than drain you.
That's a great segue actually to another concept Haidt talks about,
Okay.
pre-goal versus post-goal happiness.
Uh-huh.
It seems like we often place so much emphasis on achieving a goal,
Right.
but what happens after we reach it?
That's a question a lot of people grapple with.
Yeah,
We work so hard towards something,
right.
but then the satisfaction can be so fleeting.
I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah.
The anticipation, the challenges overcome, the small victories along the way.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the joy is.
It's what researchers call the progress principle.
Okay.
We thrive on making progress,
Mhm.
on seeing ourselves move forward,
Right.
even in small ways.
So how can we apply that to our own lives?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't just abandon goals altogether, can we?
Of course not.
Okay.
Goals are important,
Right.
but it's about how we approach them.
Okay.
Instead of focusing solely on that end result,
Uh-huh.
what if we shifted our attention to the process?
Okay.
To those small steps, those incremental improvements,
Right.
those moments of growth and learning along the way.
So instead of just wanting to reach the summit of the mountain,
Yeah,
we should enjoy the view from each base camp.
exactly. Celebrate those small wins.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the effort you're putting in.
Mhm.
Focus on the journey, not just the destination.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Good.
The elephant and rider,
Uh-huh.
the happiness formula,
Great.
the adaptation principle, the progress principle.
It all connects.
It's like Haidt is giving us this whole new framework
Oh, he is.
for understanding happiness.
He really is.
And he backs it up with a fascinating blend of research, philosophy, and personal anecdotes.
He does.
It's not just another self-help book with vague platitudes.
No.
Yeah, that's what I love about the happiness hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
It feels grounded and practical,
Yeah.
but also thought-provoking and inspiring.
It's a good balance.
But for someone who hasn't read it yet,
Okay.
what would you say is the main theme or topic of the book? What's the big takeaway?
I'd say the happiness hypothesis is ultimately about
Okay.
bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern science
Oh, okay.
to understand what truly leads to a fulfilling life.
Mm-hmm.
It's about moving beyond those simplistic notions of happiness
Right.
and embracing a more nuanced,
Okay.
holistic perspective.
It's like taking the best of both worlds.
It is.
The timeless wisdom of the ages.
Yes.
And the latest scientific discovery
Yeah, exactly.
to create this roadmap for happiness.
Yeah, it's about acknowledging the complexity of human nature,
Right.
understanding the factors that influence our well-being,
Mm-hmm.
and making conscious choices that align with our values and goals.
Now, I know we've touched on some of the key takeaways already.
have.
But if you had to distill the happiness hypothesis
Okay.
down to its essence,
All right.
what are 7 to 10 key ideas
Okay. Let's.
or arguments that listeners should really remember?
First, happiness is not something we achieve directly,
Okay.
but rather a byproduct of living a meaningful life.
So it's not about chasing those fleeting pleasures,
That's right.
but about cultivating those deep and lasting sources of fulfillment.
Yes. Second,
Okay.
our minds are divided,
Okay.
with our rational mind often battling our emotional impulses.
Right.
We need to learn to work with both our elephant and rider.
We can't ignore our emotions,
Right.
but we can learn to guide them
Yes.
in a direction that serves us well.
Third, the adaptation principle reminds us
Yep.
that we tend to return to a baseline level of happiness,
Mhm.
even after major life events.
So external circumstances have less of an impact
Yeah,
on our long-term happiness than we might think.
that's true. Fourth,
Okay.
the happiness formula,
Uh-huh.
H equals S plus C plus V,
Right.
provides a framework for understanding the factors that influence our well-being
Okay.
and empowering us to take action.
It reminds us that we have agency,
Exactly.
that we can shape our conditions and choose actions that promote happiness.
Fifth, nurturing strong, meaningful relationships is essential for happiness.
Okay.
Those connections provide a sense of belonging,
Mhm.
support, and love.
Right. We are social creatures,
We are.
and those bonds are vital to our well-being.
Sixth, finding work that aligns with our values, passions, and strengths
Okay.
can bring a deep sense of fulfillment.
It's not just about a paycheck,
Right.
but about contributing something meaningful to the world.
Seventh, practices like gratitude, mindfulness, and kindness
Right.
can actively boost our happiness levels.
Yeah.
These are skills we can develop and strengthen over time.
So it's about those small, intentional actions
Yes, sir.
that can have a big impact on our overall well-being.
Eighth, minimizing exposure to happiness suckers,
Uh-huh.
like noise pollution, long commutes, and toxic relationships,
Right.
can create more favorable conditions for happiness to thrive.
It's about being mindful of those subtle
Yeah.
but significant things
Yes.
that can drain our energy and joy.
Ninth, embracing the right constraints.
Okay.
Commitments to family, work, and community
Mm.
can provide meaning, structure, and a sense of purpose.
So those constraints, when chosen wisely,
Yes.
can actually enhance our happiness.
They can, and 10,
Okay.
happiness is not a fixed state, but an ongoing journey. It's about being open to new experiences,
Right.
learning and growing along the way,
Okay.
and accepting that life is full of both joys and challenges.
So it's a lifelong process of discovery and growth.
I think that about covers it.
Wow, what a list.
It's a good one.
It really highlights the breadth and depth of the happiness hypothesis.
It does.
Now, I know people are busy.
Uh-huh.
So for someone who is thinking about adding this book to their reading list,
Okay.
why should they make time for the happiness hypothesis specifically?
I think this book is particularly valuable
Okay.
because it's not just theoretical.
Mm-hmm.
Haidt doesn't just tell us what happiness is or isn't.
Right.
He provides actionable strategies and tools that
Yeah.
we can actually use
Uh-huh.
to cultivate more happiness in our lives.
So it's not just about reading and pondering these ideas.
Right.
It's about putting them into practice.
Exactly. It's a book that can inspire real change,
Okay.
not just a temporary mood boost.
And you mentioned earlier that Haidt blends ancient wisdom with modern science.
I did.
Can you give us a few examples of
Yeah.
how he does that?
He draws on philosophies like Stoicism and Buddhism, exploring the timeless wisdom they offer
Mhm.
about happiness and fulfillment.
Okay.
Then he connects those ideas
Mm-hmm.
to contemporary research in psychology, neuroscience, and positive psychology.
So it's like a conversation between the past and the present,
It is.
between philosophy and science.
Precisely. And that's what makes it so compelling.
Right.
He's not just presenting one side of the story,
Mm-hmm.
but weaving together multiple perspectives
Okay.
to create this rich tapestry of understanding.
Now, for those who love those bite-sized nuggets of wisdom,
Yes.
are there any particular quotes from the happiness hypothesis?
Oh, there are so many
Yeah.
that really shifted the way you think about happiness.
Yeah, like what are a few that come to mind?
If I had to pick 3 that really resonated with me.
Okay.
First, the mind is divided, like a rider on an elephant, and the rider's job is to serve the elephant.
That one just perfectly captures the essence of the book.
It does.
It's such a vivid image.
It is.
And it reminds us that our emotions are powerful.
Right.
And we need to learn to work with them, not against them.
That's right. The second quote that comes to mind
Okay.
is, happiness comes from between. It is the experience of loving what you do, whom you are with, and what you are working toward.
That speaks to the importance of finding those fulfilling attachments.
Yeah.
Right.
Aligning our actions with our passions and our purpose.
Exactly. And the third quote I'd choose
Right.
is, happiness is not something you can find, acquire, or achieve directly. You have to get the conditions right and then wait.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That one's so profound.
It is.
It really challenges our tendency to chase happiness
Mm-hmm.
as if it were some external prize.
Like it's something you can just grab,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's about creating the conditions for it to flourish,
It is.
about living a meaningful life.
It's about shifting our focus from the pursuit of happiness
Okay.
to the cultivation of a life well lived.
Okay, so we've talked about the main themes
Yes.
and key takeaways from the happiness hypothesis.
We have.
I'm curious about the structure of the book.
Okay.
What are some of the key chapters or sections that stood out to you?
Well, the book is divided into 10 chapters,
Okay.
each exploring a different facet of happiness.
Okay.
It starts by introducing the divided self metaphor
Ah.
and exploring the foundations of happiness
Right.
in ancient wisdom and evolutionary psychology.
And then there's that chapter on the adaptation principle and the hedonic treadmill,
There is.
which we discussed earlier.
Yep.
That one was a real eye-opener for me.
Absolutely, it challenges our assumptions
Right.
about what will bring lasting happiness.
Totally.
Then there are chapters dedicated to the happiness formula,
Okay.
the importance of love and relationships,
Hmm.
the nature of virtue and its connection to well-being,
Right.
and the power of finding meaning and purpose in life.
It sounds like a comprehensive exploration of happiness,
It is.
touching on so many different aspects of our lives.
And each chapter is filled with fascinating research, thought-provoking insights, and practical strategies.
Okay, I think we've done a pretty thorough job of unpacking the happiness hypothesis.
I think so.
Is there anything else from the book that you think is essential for listeners to know? Any final pearls of wisdom from Jonathan Haidt?
Let me think. I think one of the most powerful messages in the book is that happiness is not a destination,
Oh, okay.
but a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something we find or achieve once and for all,
Right.
but something we cultivate through our choices and actions each day.
So it's about embracing those small moments,
Yes.
those daily practices,
Exactly.
these connections that nourish our souls.
And it's about remembering that happiness is not the absence of challenges
Right.
or difficulties.
Okay.
It's about how we choose to respond to those inevitable ups and downs of life.
It's about building resilience, finding meaning, even in the midst of hardship,
Yes.
cultivating a sense of gratitude for the good things in our lives.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It's not about denying the difficult stuff, but about finding ways to move through it
Mm-hmm.
with grace and strength.
Okay, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive into the happiness hypothesis.
We have.
I feel like I have a whole new toolkit
Good.
for understanding and creating happiness.
That's great.
But I want to make this really practical for our listener.
Okay.
If they were to take away just one thing from this conversation,
Okay.
what would it be?
I think the most important takeaway is that happiness is within our reach.
Okay.
It's not some elusive prize
Right.
reserved for the lucky few.
Mhm.
It's something we can actively cultivate
Okay.
by understanding the factors that influence our well-being
Right.
and making conscious choices
Mm-hmm.
that align with our values and goals.
So it's about taking ownership of our happiness,
It is.
recognizing that we have more control
Yes,
than we often realize.
absolutely. And it's about remembering that the journey is just as important as the destination.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process of growth,
Mm-hmm.
embrace those small steps, and celebrate those little wins along the way.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And on that note, a huge thank you to you for joining us on this deep dive into the happiness hypothesis.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
I hope so.
And to you, dear listener, we leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What one small change will you make today to create more happiness in your life?
That's a good question.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep seeking those moments of joy.